Good morning, Azeroth. Guys, this is our very first podcast with myself, Defcamp, of course, Kargoz. Thank you for allowing us on your stream. My brother, my lovely brother, Melderon.
Hi, everyone.
And Dunedain. And guys, this is a Classic WoW podcast where we talk about all the news, Classic WoW, and pretty much anything we feel like talking about, right?
Pretty
anything
much.
That's going on, anything that's, you know, we want to do a little bit of recap about some of the things that happened. Of course, we all know about the demo and all that stuff. We just want to do a little recap about some things and also talk briefly and talk about some of the things that we have ready to talk about. So, what do you guys want to talk about first? Just do our little.
I think it's logical to just spend a few minutes on the demo and BlizzCon.
Yeah. Okay. I'm down. Also, guys, just before you start, Dunedain is actually a YouTuber. Maybe you guys know his channel, but Dunedain makes some really good stuff. And
yeah, it's been a while though, but I will get back into it. The reason I quit not really, but I made less videos is because, well, there's no content. So I would like to use classic footage, and I can't. And well,
the struggle is real.
That's mainly the reason. So
yeah, the
but
struggle
I
is
plan
real.
to do some more in the future.
Nice.
Yes, if you guys don't know, Dunedain also explores hard to get to places in Vanilla WoW. So check out those videos if you're interested in stuff like that.
Yeah. Like
old Ironforge and Gilneas and stuff like that.
Some really cool things.
We can still access those places in Classic.
I don't know. Are they gonna make it harder? Are they gonna make it harder to? Go ahead, man.
Someone mentioned like wall jumping, which you can still do in Classic. They said that it was still wall jump, things like that. But going under Ironforge, all that, because I mean that's a good question, because you know they're using they're backporting a lot of the data, right? But at its core, it's still the newer stuff, right? So, and like they said in the water cooler that they want to try to keep out a lot of the, what is the word they used? Like people messing with shit, you know, like
this ties into it. This ties into another thing right now. This is kind of juicy for me. Of course, it affects me because I made the guides, right? I made the guides, so of course it's not the greatest news ever what happened with the demo. But how do you guys feel about not having the flavorful mechanics like sit procking and
sit plus crit? Yeah,
sit plus crit. I mean, some people were even saying that I don't know. It offered a lot more fun a lot more fun with the gameplay and another just kind of finesse mechanic and stuff. It's kind of a bummer that they're not in. What do you guys think? Are you happy they're not in, or?
No, I'm very sad. I mean, look at Reckoning, dude. Like that, like Reckoning's getting Reckoning stacks as a Ret Paladin, dude. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, I think it added another level to PvP and another level of finesse.
Dude. Absolutely.
And to rob the player base of that is removing a huge thing that can really separate PvP skill. And I think that's a crime personally. But I mean, that's just me. I mean, I'm sure people like it, but
I think the only one that I was okay, that I'm kind of happy is not in, is the whole front stabbing and front shredding, because that one to me, it does feel a little like too wonky. The fact they're using a skill that is supposed to be from behind, from the front, maybe that's a little too much. Right? But the slash sit procking, dude, there's 4 classes affected by that. It's such a bummer that you know.
So what about in duels? Is it going to be in duels then? So what if you sit?
It's not going to be in. It's not going to be in.
Yeah.
No, it'll be in. It'll be in. It'll be in. I'm pretty sure it's going to be in PvP, right? Right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Chad. I assume it's going to be in PvP. It's just not going to be.
Did they say anything about it? I think they maybe just overlooked it. Maybe they will add it.
Oh, you're saying so slash sit to proc 'em in PvP?
Because that's a huge thing, and you know, because I think that was initially installed in the game for PvP, right? I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Why would you put it in for PvE? So I'm thinking like, so if you remove it, you're also penalizing PvP now. You're also
it's kind of like a roleplay kind of thing too, right? Because you're sitting, you're kind of unaware of what's going on, right? Because you're eating or drinking, all of a sudden you get hit. It's kind of like, oh, you're not ready for combat.
And the thing is, it's kind of cool. So there's that RP aspect to it for sure, but you know, it's kind of a weird interaction that it wouldn't, because you still do get crit if you sit down, right? Just to clarify, like if you sit, you will still get crit. It just doesn't proc the talents, which is really weird.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that was, I don't know, but.
So I think removing it from PvE is one thing, but I think removing it from PvP, like if you're ambushed while you're drinking, that's a good strategy for a rogue or a hunter or any class, right? Say a warrior sees you drink and he charges in and hits you and whacks you, right? That's interesting to me.
Yeah.
It plays into the roleplay. It plays into real life. I mean, like if you're sitting down eating and some dude comes over and hits you with an axe, you have no way of. It's like being flat-footed in D&D or something like that, right? So it's, you know, I don't know.
Bill Wilson says Tarn Priest should have been in a thing in Classic. Changed my mind. No, that's back when Tarns were
shamans.
Actually, yeah. Tarns were actually cool in Classic. They didn't look like little. Look, is it just me, or did Tarn look like after they got reworked and like kind of looks like they lost like a couple feet and they just look so stupid?
Yo, for those of you watching, I just did the Project 60 thing. I'm still kind of doing it, like, you know, just leveling when I can. The new models look goofy as fuck, dude. They look so goofy. I literally was struggling to find something that I could kind of like get into. I was like trying to amp myself up, like, all right, this looks all right, but it was hard, man. The new models look super goofy to me. I really prefer.
I hate the new Tarns.
The Tarns look like go ahead, say anything. Sorry.
They're also kind of hard to distinguish from each other, in my opinion. If you play like vanilla or classic or whatever, you can see obviously which is a dwarf, which is a human, which is a night elf. And if you play like retail, you really have to zoom in on it, in my opinion anyway, to see the difference.
Yeah, especially when you're wearing your armor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're wearing your armor.
That's a bad thing, in my opinion, but
yeah.
Yo, one thing that also is very disturbing to me is the way the gnomes look. I don't know, like the way the gnomes look. It's
disturbing to me.
No, but the gnomes in classic are kind of like little cute little bugger things, you know, like in retail, like that's the stuff of nightmares, man. He looks like they have Benjamin Button disease. That's what I kept saying. I don't know who came up with that, dude.
Sorry, that was pretty real loud. Sorry about that.
One thing I gotta say though is dwarfs. They were the ugliest things.
They have Benjamin Button disorder or whatever, man. The gnomes look terrible. I could see the appeal a little bit. Someone wants to play a little cutie pie guy with the little beard, you know, and it's kind of funny, dude. Then who's looking at that in retail and it's like, boom, bingo, that's it, right there. Sign me up.
Yeah. So
Canterbury does look like Benjamin Button because it looks like
Canterbury just said,
look at this. What is
the running animations are the word, and that's exactly what it is.
Oh yes.
So Taurens especially, they look like they're gonna fall on their face. Like they're like running like this, and it looks like they're gonna just go boom any second. But yeah, anyway, it's just. Hey.
OG Tarn were majestic and powerful. Retail Tarn looked like a joke and way too friendly. Absolutely, Frederick.
Yo, Alex is in here. What's up, Alex?
What's up, Alex?
Look at the new Worgen Goblin character model.
I haven't seen the new Worgen and Goblin model.
Let me look it up right now, dude. Let me look it up right now. I have a feeling the Goblin ones are gonna be fucking hilarious.
Fisher Price new models. Yeah.
Goblin
but
models.
I gotta say, like the dwarf, so dwarf were probably the ugliest like class. I mean, race in all of WoW. But there's something about that, like, stupid, like, they look like their eyes are crossed, they have those, like, giant noses, and they're like...
Yo, yeah, so also the orcs, dude, you know I'm an orc lover. I'm a lover of the orcs. Like, I love the way the orcs are. When I played Warhammer, played orcs. Like, I always loved the orcs, right? The orcs, they look badass in Classic. Like, I have one face that that's my go-to face, and he looks like you can take him seriously. Like, he's a bad motherfucker. Like, in retail, they look so goofy.
Yeah,
they do.
I can't take it.
Forsaken too. I don't like the Forsaken look in. They look like very cartoony in, which is what everything looks like in retail. But
yeah.
So
that's
let's
why
just
you play Classic, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is all the reasons why we play Classic.
What did you guys think of the animations in the demo? Like a lot of the animations being wrong. Like for one, the wanding animation for dwarfs was like was very fluid. Wasn't rigid how it was in Classic. Do you think these are things they're gonna?
I hope they will fix it.
Change?
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, do you guys think they're gonna finish in time? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. My bad.
Well, I think they probably thought it was good like it was, but I hope they will read the feedback and I hope they will fix it. I think it's quite a big deal to have the right animations.
Absolutely.
It gives a totally different feel.
So I'm assuming you played the demo, the Dunedain. What were your thoughts? You can encapsulate them in a sentence or two.
I did not play the demo.
Oh, you did not? So what were your thoughts about maybe the streams that you've seen or
yeah,
videos?
I saw plenty of streams. On the first day I was very upset. As you know, I was on Defcamp stream, and I saw all the things which were wrong. Mainly the health and mana regeneration, which is really bad, like it was on the demo. I hate that. I saw the looking for raids, you know it, and I was like, holy shit, this is not going to be, this is going to be really a disaster. But
Yeah.
after they kind of made it better, and the longer time went on, better it got in my mind. So I hope they will fix most of it. But in my opinion, they made a big mistake by not saying before the demo launch there will be some mistakes in it. There will be a looking for raid, which is.
I could not agree with you more, dude. How much better would it have been if they just did a little PSA? They just threw out a little tweet or something,
seriously.
and they're like, guys, the demo is gonna be a shit show. Or maybe not like that, whatever. And they're gonna say, but we tried our best. We tried our best to get it out in the best form, but it's not even close. It's not even close.
A huge difference, because it's the first thing we actually see from them since a year. We had like 2 messages, but everyone's waiting for seeing the first gameplay, and then they kind of mess it up like that, and they don't even warn us about it, and we have the sharding and all the stuff.
I know.
I think that was a mistake.
You think it's gonna finish on time? You think it's gonna be done by summer? I mean,
that's a good question, because they already said like summer,
I think they have
right?
to.
So they have to, but they didn't give like an exact date. So.
But they have to for 2 reasons. One is because they said it, right, Defcamp, but the other one is because
their stock is tanking too, right?
Yeah.
Their stock is
that's
tanking,
another thing
dude.
we're talking about too, because as far as Blizzard right now, like, man, they're in hot water with a lot of things.
They're at under $50, dude. That's crazy.
I know. The Activision stock. I mean, just look at like WoW right now, and that's the other thing I want to talk about is like, and Dunedain, you yourself has been someone who's like advocated for. From the very beginning, you wanted to see patch 1.1. You wanted to see it progress from there. And honestly, you were someone who I used to talk to a lot and just kind of get, like, because I was on the fence with a lot of things and what I wanted, and talking to you was really, I gained a lot of information. But like looking at where everything is now, right, and looking where, because retail is not doing very good. There's a lot of people who are really unhappy with it. Then you have everything going on with Diablo Immortal. And I was kind of in this way of thinking that, okay, like, if Classic is successful, say it does very well and, it gets more players than retail has at one point, what would that do to change Classic at that point? Because, I'm afraid they're going to say, oh, we got the people who we wanted to get playing it, right? We got those people, they're invested now, and how do we get more people invested? And, so I'm worried that, it'll be something good, and then they'll start putting these little things because
they're repeating itself.
They will make the same mistake twice.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm just saying that it's something to be aware of. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's something I think they need to be aware of, because we already see them saying, oh well, loot changes and sharding and those, and people are like, okay, well, we understand. Some people are saying like, oh well, I guess it's a necessary evil because I'm not saying this is my opinion, but like on certain private servers they had
dynamic respawn.
Can we talk about that for 1 second? Whoever's in the chat,
sure.
Whoever's in the chat, you guys. So if you had to have sharding, let's say like sharding 1 through 10, right? Sharding 1 through 10, or dynamic respawns, with
or leave it as it is.
Or nothing at all, right? Or literally, have we even seen a private server with absolutely no kind of stabilization mechanics?
There have been, but they're smaller ones. Yeah,
so the launch of Nost didn't have it?
I don't know. I'm asking the audience. Okay.
I don't think so. I was there, and I remember waiting hours in the starting zone to kill them.
Well, that's the thing. So. The population size has a big thing to do with it, right? Because on Northdale, we saw at launch over 14,000 people. So if we have servers that are capped out at 2.53K, it will be a problem. Yeah, when everyone, it will still be a problem, but it won't be as big as a problem.
Yeah, I think Alex points out the best solution is to add more servers. I think that's what they need to do.
But the only thing is, when you add more servers, you have to roll with that server for a couple of years, right? Like, it's not like you can just do a launch server.
Later on, maybe an hour you merge, maybe an hour, a year you merge, or 6 months you merge.
Right? I guess so. So you could merge right after, maybe after a month or two or something like that.
They have the technology to do that, absolutely, if they wanted to.
That's a pretty good solution.
They only do it if certain servers die out. So I think if the population cap is 2.5K, which I hope it will be, I don't think we need sharding, and I don't think we need the dynamic respawns. Yeah. If you say the private servers, they launch with 10K people, and 2.5K it's only a fourth, so that will probably be 1 to 3, 4 days that the starting zones will be really kind of unplayable, and is that a big deal? I don't know.
Well, the thing I like about it is it's kind of the cultural experience of the server. Like, it's a milestone in the server. Like, it's the shit show, and everyone's exploration leveling, and like you're running out. Like, I want an exploration level. I'm telling you, I want that to be viable, dude. How flavorful is that? If you guys don't know what exploration leveling is in the chat, it's pretty much the server is such a shit show that you literally just get XP consistently by running out of the starting area. And if you're Alliance, you kind of have an advantage, right? You go to the deep run tram, and like you start in Dunmorrow, right? And then you run to Stormwind. You go into every nook and cranny, and you get a little XP here, a little XP here. And there's some quests that give you a little bit of copper or some silver, even though it doesn't require you to do much. Like, I don't know, they exist. And then you take the deep one tram to Elwyn, and you run across the mountaintops all the way to Red Ridge, and you get these flight paths. And that's really cool. And the Horde have an equivalent, but it's not as good, right? With Orgrimmar and the Zeppelin. But, you know, you make an investment, right? You get your flight pass really early, and it pays off in the long run, you know?
Another really cool thing about, like, when the population's really high in the early first few days, right? One thing that we had on our server is we had, like, 2-3 raids of, like, level 10 through level 15 raiding low-level zones. And that's, like, only something you can do, like, at the launch of a server. Yeah. And, like, it's just little things like that, like world PvP, you know, because people get tired of trying to fight and you know, get all these spawns with everybody, so they take some time and explore, like, different things to do. So that's another thing.
I want to highlight something that someone said in chat. So Frederick said, make people have fun together instead of forcing them to have fun, quote-unquote, the right way. Yeah. That's what has messed up with WoW retail as it is today, and I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. Can you imagine, like, if when we started in Classic, in Vanilla, we told our friends we are on this server, so join the server and you will find me there. Can you imagine 2 new players now starting in Classic, and they don't know what Sharding is, and they start on the same server, but they don't see each other?
That's horrible, like, dude.
Yeah.
And that would happen, right? Because it's the 1 through 6 zone. It could actually happen.
It's possible to happen, sure. Yeah,
the thing is, it would just feel like, I feel like that's the launch of a server is part of the story of the server. You have this narrative on the server. Like, people who are OGs from a server, they're gonna be like, "Yo, bro, you remember back in launch day? It was crazy. Like, we were like headless chickens running around. I couldn't tag shit. Like, and then we ran out and we went here. If that wasn't part of it at all, it would feel bad, man. I don't know."
The launch of a server to me is like, I mean, I've had some of the most fun I've had playing WoW during, like, launches, during the BC launch. You know, it was a shit show in a way, but it was also one of the, it's like, oh, I remember what I was doing the day when BC came out, or the day when Wrath came out, like the launch day of certain servers. You know, yeah, there's some bad things that happen, but it's kind of like, okay, deal with it because of all the other pros that are going on too, you know what I mean? Like, I'd much rather deal with the shit show that goes on with, you know, waiting for spawns and waiting for other things, and just, you know, and then that also encourages some people to go ahead of the pack and say, okay,
group up. Like,
exactly, group up, encourages other people to group up, to play together, right? Say, instead of me trying to solo everything and do everything myself, let me get involved in this social game and join up with a group of people.
In defense of Sharding, though, I will say, in defense, I probably didn't get a lot of flack for this, but fuck it, right? Like, I love going I like speed running, and I like doing the 1 to 20 grind. For me, like, anything past 20, it kind of just feels like it takes too long. So I like practicing my 1 to 10 and my 1 to 20. If I'm going hard, I get to 10 in like under 2 hours. If I go to 20, like on a hunter or something, I'm getting there in under 8 hours. And one thing that always frustrated me is that my knowledge of the starting zones never really translated into that much value when it comes to a new server, because it's so crazy. Like, I couldn't, on a fresh server, if I really was trying to get ahead of the pack, I felt like it was outside of my control. Like, I wasn't able to use my strategy, because my strategy would only work on kind of a dead server. So, you know, it would help the people that want to, like, speed level and be more independent and self-reliant towards getting to 20 faster. But my overall thing is, I would like dynamic respawn. I would like dynamic respawn. No sharding, but dynamic respawn. Okay. I wouldn't want nothing. So, like, you have nothing where you literally do nothing. Yeah. You have dynamic respawn, and you have sharding, right? I would vote for dynamic respawn.
I would still put sharding above dynamic respawn.
You would put it above? Okay. Why is that?
Yeah. Well, I saw how it went on Northdale, and really,
it was really. The thing is, though, like on Northdale, like, I was with the pack for a lot of it. For a lot of the people who went ahead of the pack, there was no problem. because they were like I know Alex, you got, I'm pretty sure he got there like pretty way ahead of the pack. I know Alex was but like when other players are like all grouped up together and like you go through the grind through the first couple zones through STV, and it really was really bad when you're with the pack. But if you go ahead of the pack, it's kind of not that bad, but it's still for the majority of players. I think dynamic respawning either way is it sucks.
What's really bad, you just stood in a spot and you waited for the mobs to spawn and you that place.
But what about, like Alex just said, what about people abusing to make more gold and XP per hour? That's and messing with the economy.
Dynamic respawns allow people to abuse spawns. But wouldn't it only be for like the first little bit though? Isn't that how they do it on the private servers? They only do it for like the first day or two or something like that?
They had to shut down all mining and herb nodes because people were just farming them.
But isn't that only for like the first 2 days or something? Like,
no, it lasted a while.
You know how much of a head start that is money-wise?
Oh, for the nodes, yeah. For the nodes, it was only.
And killing monsters. You imagine just standing next to like a village, killing stuff, selling it to the vendor back and forth.
Like you say, it's for the first 2 days. So why even try to solve it? It's only for a few days. Just have the queue.
Just let it go. Yeah.
I think the best possible thing to do with keeping the feel of WoW, important, like keeping the feel of WoW, I think, is to have, like you said, no more than 2.5, 3K servers, and just let it be as is.
So yeah, guys saying in chat there's no economy level 10. That's true. There's nothing on the auction house, but that doesn't mean you can't.
There's still an economy in a way. I mean, you still have people. You still have everyone selling their Lessig magic wands. Everyone getting. I mean, there's
isn't that kind of noob shit though? Like, cause aren't you just gonna get out of that zone right away, and then you're gonna go have access to higher level zones where stuff vendors for way more, and you're able to just like, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of trivial, the money early on.
Or you can hold on to stuff too. You don't have to sell it right away.
Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff that I hold on to, or because you. And the thing is, knowing ahead of time, like when things say, like, okay, you stock on the Black Lotuses because you know when they're going to go from BOP to BOE, right?
Well, so Black Lotuses is way farther out.
Well, I'm just saying in general, so using that as an example, or say Firebloom, you stock up on Firebloom because you know when the oils come out that you can make a whole bunch of them and make a whole bunch of money. So it's like, that's with anything, you can do that and stockpile things. I mean, that's part of Classic WoW is knowing what's going to come out. You already have that advantage, so I don't think it's really a big deal. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, there's a lot of pros and cons to it, right? But I don't think dynamic respawning is the answer. I don't think sharding is the answer.
So you just want to leave it completely? I want to just know what that looks like. Has anybody in the chat and seen a server that had nothing on it? There was literally no.
So who was here for NOS launch?
NOS launch. I feel like it would be unplayable.
Yeah, no, Dunedain was.
Yeah, I did it on. Yeah.
But that was for me one of the most enjoyable experiences. But it was also 8-9 years ago I played vanilla, and seeing all that might have helped making it enjoyable, and I didn't really mind spending 1 or 2 days in the starting zones. So for me it was really a nice feeling to have been there with all the other people from the start. So yeah, I didn't mind it at all. But I know many people, a friend of mine, he actually waited 2 or 3 days before he started leveling because he didn't like it. But yeah.
That's true. Alex said it's important to note that private servers can't be used as an example. This is one server compared to Blizzard. That's so true because there's only one server, right? Like one super hyped server. If there's dozens of it's probably not going to be as bad, right?
Even though
you got Oceanic.
Was not that big on the launch, so
yeah, that's true. And that's so not only is it one realm, Alex, but it's also an inflated population cap. So we really can't make a comparison. You're right.
Hey, what's up, Frederick? I got to Act 3. Act 3, Frederick. Yeah, sorry.
Think about the servers where like some of the big streamers are going to be on, right? So there's going to be huge populations on, say, like Asmongold server, shit like that, and that should be a deterrence for people to say, hey, maybe I'm not going to play on this server where all this crap is going to be going crazy, like, and let me play on a lower pop server so I can level in a nice, steady rate, because like when it comes down to it, why should everyone get the same experience? If I'm going to be playing on a server where I know it's going to be crazy, it's going to be a lot of streamers, there's going to be a lot of people, like, that's going to be some of the cons to going on that server. is dealing with respawn
so true.
rates.
So that's part of the story of the
all that
server.
shit.
When I said that in my
Exactly,
when
right.
I said that in my video, one of the coolest things about vanilla is that every server has its own unique story, right? Has
Yes,
different
and-
set of characters, different set of protagonists and antagonists, different
HQ
rivalry,
launch.
different
Yeah,
economy, different everything. So people kept asking me. They asked me a couple days ago. They're like, "What about the streamer servers like Asmongold, where he remember he showed like there was like hundreds of people following him around?" I'd be like, "If you want to roll there, bro, if you want to roll there, that's the story.
That's what I'm saying.
Exploration leveling, bro. That's the answer. Go run your way over and get to level 3.
That, but like, you know, so that's gonna be part of your experience. You're gonna go to a server that's gonna be capped from out like crazy like that. But that's all the more reason why not to have dynamic respawning, why not to have sharding, is because your experience on every server is going to be different, right? So I'd much rather go on a medium population server, low to medium pop server, you know, that's say like maybe smaller in the beginning that grows over time, and have the leveling experience that I'm.
Because you're gonna have people coming over from those big pop servers.
Also, you think about you think that will even it
Absolutely.
out, right? So if you have these servers that have mad people joining because Asmongold's on it, and then if it's unplayable, they'll just leave,
Yeah.
right? Like after
I
a couple
think it will.
hours, and maybe it'll balance it out, and they go to the
It
lower
will.
pop servers.
So maybe more beneficial for you to start on a low pop server
Yeah.
because they're gonna have refugees coming from these streamer servers that are
So
overpopulated.
if you really don't want to sit in the queue for an hour or two, just roll in a new servers.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
That's my solution. Is you know, let it play out as it would, and some people will get sick of, you know, it's not worth playing with Asmongold or whoever to deal with all this crazy respawn times and all that. So I'm gonna play on a medium pop server and play with my friends, and you know, still is it going to be a little bit of a struggle in the first few levels? It will be on any server, even if it's a low pop. There's still gonna be people. There's only so many boars in Mulgort, right? You know.
You know, something I'm really afraid of. Let's say they do this sharding thing for the first 10 levels for a week. They basically said they will not do it anywhere else in the game. But what if the Burning Crusade launches and they do it with the launch of the Burning Crusade as well? That will take away a lot of that launch event, in my opinion. And like they say it now, I can feel it coming. They will do it for the Burning Crusade launch.
Yeah, maybe.
I
Yeah.
like what the shaman said. As the solution is simple. We have to convince Blizzard that we don't want sharding.
Well, this guy said too. I think it's a much better solution to have tons of servers than consolidate after people drop out. I don't really know what Blizzard's capabilities are, but yeah, I assume they could do that. That would.
Yeah,
I mean,
we have to consider costs. I don't know what the costs are to roll out servers. So there's a cost-benefit equation that Blizzard's going to calculate, right? And they're going to say, is it more beneficial to roll out more servers or not? And I don't know what that answer is, and that could really change the game for us. But and considering that their stock is dropping, maybe maybe they don't want to take more risk. But
Yeah.
you know, but let's talk about something that's I guess is kind of related to this is like progressive content and itemization. So Matt, I know you had some thoughts you want to talk about this.
Yeah, so like my big thing was, right, so like itemization is to me one of the most important things in when talking about classic and you know, progression of content. And we really didn't get a lot of answers as far as itemization, but from talking to some other people, and I don't know if this is what they just think or things that they've heard, but from what I have been hearing, a lot of people are saying is like, when it comes to itemization, we're going to be seeing, and I don't know if this is what they're interpreting from the data that they have. So when talking to people, they said something like, so when we're talking about tier 1, we're going to see the last evolution of what tier 1 was from the beginning. So say we roll into Molten Core, right, and the tier 1 is going to look like it did basically in 1.12, but if this is the launch, say the first month of Classic, right? You're not going to roll into BRD and see the cloth shoulders that give like plus 20 healing that came out in like patch 1.10, right? They won't be available yet. But and this is all just hearsay. This is just what someone thought, right? But what they probably will see is you will see the last iteration of each tier when they come out. So they won't. So what they're thinking is the tier progression won't be there, but you won't have the itemization that the items that came out later in WoW available at the start. So what they're thinking is, so like you know, they put it in stages: stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and they also the same person who I talked to said just because they came out in stages doesn't mean that all this stuff's going to be released at the same time. Because if you look, when they had AQ in stage 3, they also had the AQ event right next to AQ. So of course, people aren't going to be doing the event to get all the resources for AQ while people are doing AQ. So that would come before that. So
multi-tiered stages.
Multi-tiered stages, but they're just grouping them in time sections. This is what it sounds like. So,
like chapters of a book. Chapter 1 is this.
They also didn't mention battlegrounds until stage 2, and we all know, like, you know, just because you know all battlegrounds didn't come all out at once. We had Warsong Gulch, Arathi Basin, and Alterac Valley that came out in stages, and with Alterac Valley came the gear that you could get for it. So I don't know if they're planning on doing like that same progression, or just having battlegrounds available but not able to get the items from the battlegrounds. So, but I do agree with what they were saying. I don't agree that this should be how it is, but I do, however, think that Blizzard might go down this route and having no changes on the tier. So I think they will probably launch Tier 1 the way it was at 1.12, which sucks, but I also don't. They're probably going to start Major Domo dropping gear. I don't think they're going to have like a point where Domo isn't dropping gear, stuff like that. But you know, I'm interested to see what happens. I would love for there to be changes in the tier. I would love for it to be like that. But I just hope to God that they don't have gear out like in the very beginning, because there was like blue shoulders that dropped in BRD. I forget what they're called. They're the Scarlet something shoulders that were like better than tier 2, which came out in like 1.10, right? That should not be available in stage 1 or 2. It should be available in stage 3 because it's basically a catch-up mechanic.
Yeah.
Right. So there's no reason why that should be available in stage 1 or stage 2.
Well, that begs the question, Defcamp. If they don't have progressive itemization, what does that mean for raid content and raid encounters?
Well, so it is progressive itemization in a way, but it's not progressive tier itemization. So what
I'm saying is if they have the most beneficial gear available at start, does that mean they have to make changes to the raid encounters?
I mean, doesn't mean that they have to.
Well, it's something. It's a discussion point. I think we should talk about.
Right. No, if they do that, then for me, it's like it's over. Like, what's the point of anything at that point? You know, if they're putting out gear that's that's like tier 2.5 equivalent at launch, at that point it's like, why even do MC?
So
you know,
so Dunedain was Dunedain. Am I correct in understanding that you wanted them to start at 1.1? Would that have been your ideal way to roll it out?
I understand we will not get it, and that's okay. But in the ideal world, I would have liked to see an exact replica from 1.1 to 1.12. I know many people don't want it, but that's my ideal world.
What do you see as the main advantages and disadvantages of it?
Well, first of all, I started playing in 1.3, and I quit before 1.12 came, so I quit in 1.11. So for me, the nostalgia is from 1.3 till 1.11, and everything which happened in this time period was interesting for me, and it was fun. For example, if I played Warrior, so when the Warrior patch came, things changed for me, and I thought that was interesting. When the Druid patch came, the Boomkin form came into the game, you saw the alts popping all over Ironforge. I love that. That kind of things, I would have liked to see it again.
Yeah.
But, people say my mic is low.
As far as the itemization though, like I can see what MN8 says here. It says you're getting 1.12 patch itemization because that is the only patch they have in full, and I totally hear you. That's what they said. But Dunedain, like, so for what I understand there, right, it's like they only have the full data from patch 1.12, so they're only gonna.
Do you think so?
That, I mean, they said they had some data from before that, but they didn't have it.
I cannot believe they don't have a backup. Like,
I know that to me just sounds like, why wouldn't they have that? But they did say they had some of it, but not all of it. 1.12, I think they said that it was the only one they had in full. But that doesn't mean they can't, just because they have the 1.12 data, it doesn't mean they still can't withhold some gear from coming out over a certain time, right? I mean,
yeah, like it's now, the only thing which is really confirmed is progressive content. So we didn't hear anything about itemization, right? Except for battlegrounds come later. So I assume the rewards come later as well, which is good so far. But why do we need the progressive itemization in the first place? Because if we don't have it, Molten Core will be like LFR in retail, and that's not fun for anyone. So that's the first thing. But I feel this is maybe the last chance to say it. I hope maybe Blizzard will hear this, but I still think they can add the old talent trees. I know it might be a lost case, but if they basically said we don't want to change the 1.12 data, right? But if they do progressive itemization, they basically are changing the 1.12 data.
What are different with the old talent trees, man? Like honestly, like I think I played early in vanilla, but the thing is, I don't really even freaking remember it that well.
There's a lot of differences.
There's a lot of differences.
Now people say classes were unplayable in the beginning, like it's druids, and I really disagree. Like
Interfeit was a talent.
Yeah, but they are not
had way less armor.
They are definitely not unplayable, because why do you bring a druid after the druid patch? You bring a druid to a raid because they have Interfeit and because they have battle res, right?
Rebirth, yeah.
They had that before the druid patch as well. So before the druid patch, you bring a druid to a raid because of those two things. And even I would even say that the druid was better off before the balance patches than after. Because before, in my opinion, they were better healers compared to paladins, and after, paladins were definitely the best. So, in my opinion, the difference between the healers before the balance patches, I think druids were in a better spot there. But yeah,
you think they were in a better spot? Because I always hear that like warlocks and druids got super buffed, and 1.12 is the most balanced patch of all time. People keep saying 1.12 is so good.
It's probably the most balanced patch
for that time. That's the thing. Is like each patch was kind of balanced around the content that was going on at the time.
Yeah, but druids were definitely better after the patch. But compared to how paladins got buffed, I think druids were. Pre-patch every class, I think druids were probably in a better spot than after all the patches. I mean, everything got buffed, but druids, compared to their other healers, they didn't get buffed as much.
I also remember Taladriel saying something a few weeks ago. He was saying how like warriors struggled through certain parts of vanilla, and that like there were, you know, earlier in vanilla, it was actually bear tanks were in a better position too at some point. Yeah. I don't know if that means anything.
I'm sure it was probably after the armor, because they only had 150
in the beginning they were really low on armor. It's true. But I forgot what you said.
But anyway, unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen, though, man.
No, I don't think so. But if they can make 4 or 6 tiers of content, and if they can add itemization, I get they will not balance the classes from 1.1 to 1.12. I get that we have the balance from 1.12, but they could possibly add the old talent trees, and then, like for example, in the second phase, you get talent trees for warrior and warlock, and the first classes which got it. I don't remember which came after that, but like every stage are. Some classes get their updates. I think it's fresh. It changed the meta. It's interesting to look forward to.
Oh yeah.
And I don't believe the argument that people will never play a druid if they do that. I don't believe in that. I think people play whatever they want. So, also, like a paladin before the change, you kind of had to bring a retribution paladin because otherwise you didn't have Blessing of Kings. Which is, in my opinion,
it adds more variability to the raid, essentially.
Yeah.
Also, Interfeit as a 31 points. Why is it bad? It's not bad. I mean, you go resto, so you get the 31 points. So I don't see the problem.
So
yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It, like you said, it definitely does keep things fresh, but you know,
it will make Molten Core interesting.
It will, absolutely.
Because people say we need progressive itemization, otherwise it will be a face roll. I definitely agree, but it will still be a face roll. I mean, it will not be LFR, it will just be normal mode if you compare to retail. But why not have that extra step? Why not?
Right.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, I mean, and when it comes to progressive itemization, and like the way that I think about it now is like we're probably going to see, like I said, the last iteration of each things like tier, and there's no reason why they can, and I hope they really do, is withhold some of that gear that came out over time. So that's going to be kind of the idea of what progressive itemization is now for Classic.
Someone said something funny in the chat. So we said remove add-ons so the game won't be too face roll. Do you think there's going to be all the add-ons right on launch, like on summer?
They said that they're not, that add-ons for private servers aren't going to work, and add-ons for retail aren't going to work. So they basically are going to have to make new add-ons now.
That's kind of crazy, actually. That's kind of exciting, I gotta say. Like, so for those of you playing the demo, wasn't it kind of weird not having an auto shot top, not having a swing top?
I loved it.
It was very strange.
It was cool though, man. I don't know. I mean,
tell you what though, I did not like the raid frames. I don't like I'd rather have the raid frames that you pull out of from the raid. I mean, you know, that's just, I guess, one of the
so this kind of puts power in the form of in Blizzard's power to kind of remove add-ons that were quote unquote game breaking. If you guys aren't aware, there is an add-on that's available on private servers that literally can heal for you. Yeah. I think that is a total
nice.
Why heal if you're going to have an add-on that's going to heal for you? So I think that it does allow for us for Blizzard to kind of remove, like, I heard even decursive, things like that might be removed.
Decursive was withheld back in the day. They stopped decursive from coming out.
Yeah.
And then there were other add-ons, and they also said that they don't... See, like, I thought something cool would be like, oh, what if someone makes an add-on that makes Classic more like Classic? You know, like, makes... So what if someone came up with an add-on, right, that gets rid of the new raid frames, that gets rid of, like, certain things that make it look different than how it was in vanilla, but they said that they said that they want to push away any add-on that would bring back something that they took out of the game, basically. So they said that they will be withholding some add-ons, but I think it's a good thing that they have to do add-ons, you know, from scratch. I think they're probably going to be able to, you know, rework some add-ons. I don't know how much difference that they have to do with the coding and all that kind of stuff that each add-on, but I'm sure we're going to see, you know, recount stuff, we're going to see threat meters, we're going to see you know, things like that. I'm sure someone will make a
bartender, you know,
bartender.
Deadly Boss Mod said he's going to remake
right.
Mods.
Or like,
we had those add-ons in the old days. So
oh yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of people say, oh, there were no add-ons, and
that's not true. But
yeah, there were definitely add-ons.
There were a lot of add-ons in vanilla, but you know, there were a lot of them were shit. But
it's interesting if they would have no add-ons at all. That would be interesting. I tried to play on Elysium or Lights Hope or whatever without any add-ons in raids. It's quite interesting as a healer.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting as a healer. Like, I love having Luna as a healer. It's basically like the only thing I need is that.
Yeah, which shows you predictive healing though, which is a huge thing.
It does, but I mean, it's not like it's needed. It is nice though when you know somebody else is about to heal a target.
Yeah, that's a huge thing.
Oh yeah, that's why you play a pally and just out heal everyone.
No, what I mean is when you think about that it adds another dynamic of mana.
Oh no, it does. But that's why I said that's why you play a pally and you just no one can.
Yeah, but for those of us who actually want to play real class, we want to actually do something that's a little bit more challenging than just sniping heals the whole time, and then bubble hearthing out of the raid or whatever.
What class are chat? What class are you guys playing, chat? What class are you guys playing?
I'm probably gonna start with the priest.
You're going priest.
But yeah, I probably am. But you know, it's something that it's a whole nother, like I said, a whole other aspect of raiding right there is, okay, you got to know now, say that, you know, you have no way of knowing who's about to heal his target, so then you better get with the other healers and say, I'm healing this tank, I'm healing this tank, because a lot of it nowadays, yeah, we still have healing assignments and stuff like that, but you're going to want to get it more, you're going to want to get more involved with your other healers and more involved with, okay, who am I healing? Am I healing this group? Am I healing this group? And I think that adds a whole nother dimension to it, you know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, what are you laughing at?
No, I'm looking at chat and seeing all the hunters. Seeing all the shamans.
There's literally no druid in chat.
No druids.
Yeah.
There's not even a single druid. That's
Death Knight.
I will say druid.
feels bad, man.
Yeah.
Where's the druids at?
Yeah, the dude.
Okay, I have a very. This is gonna make people probably go their heads explode. But if there was one class you can port from a future expansion into Classic, what would it be?
None. Get out of here.
Okay, obviously the answer is none. But let's just pretend.
I'll work with it. I'll work with it.
Yeah.
I'll work with it.
Yeah.
Let's see here. All right. Probably not Demon Hunter for me. Probably not. I don't really like the playstyle too much.
So I mean a class that wasn't available in Classic. That was available in future expansion. You said Hunter? Oh, you said
Demon Hunter.
Oh, I think you said Hunter.
Demon
sorry.
Hunter. Let me think, man. What are
Falls
they,
in love with
Monk?
Demon Hunter is.
I never really fucked with Monk though, dude. Monk was always like, I don't know, kind of Kung Fu Panda to me. Let me think.
Yeah.
Probably
They're all
Death Knight, dude. I mean.
Yeah, it's the only one that makes sense lore-wise.
It's got to be
It's
Death
the only
Knight.
one.
You
For
need
me,
Death Knights when you have warriors and paladins.
No, again, this is a fantasy, right? And I don't want them to be into the game. It'll break the meta. I'm just saying.
I wouldn't want them to be a hero class.
Let's use our
I would
imaginations
just wish
here.
they were a regular class, you know? Like, they were just as pleb as everything else. I never really liked the whole hero class thing. That was, like, that aspect
Look
of
at
it,
me, I'm more important than everybody else. Let me play a Death Knight.
Well, obviously they would start at level 1.
That's true. It does
If it
feel
was
weird to have a
classic.
level 1 Death
Yeah.
Knight, you know? Like,
It does feel strange. That's why they made them hero classes to begin with. But yeah.
DKs are for people that want to be special.
All right, let's.
I would probably like a hunter without a pet, but that's not really an
Hunter
answer.
without a pet, I would like that. You could just dismiss your pet.
they have that
though.
in retail now, right? Like the Lone Wolf?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is kind of cool.
Well, just
actually-
play with certain raids that I mean, we always yell at hunters to dismiss their pets because they always end up just causing trouble anyway in raids. Especially when you're.
Can I take it to like DEFCON 5 nerd level real quick? I love this.
Yeah,
I know
do
it's
it.
not the most like potentially we're not scientifically analyzing the game here, but what class fantasy is the coolest to you? I know you like Shaman, Melderon, but like those are always my favorite videos of yours when you were just explaining why you like a Shaman.
Yeah.
I'm interested. What class do you guys like the most from like a class fantasy perspective, aside from balance and why?
I think warriors are too vanilla, really, to kind of like. There's really no. You're just some dude with a sword, right? And you're like big and strong, and you're like Conan the Barbarian running around. I think warriors have the least amount of class fantasy behind them, like lore-wise. But I also think you can make your own story with a warrior too. So you're kind of you have this freedom, even though it's kind of also at the same time limited. But I mean, for me, it's going to be shaman because like they're like the spiritual leader, and they use all these different magics and ancestral healing, and that's just for me as shaman. But I don't know.
For me, it's I mean paladin because to me it's like that knight, right? You're like what stands for righteousness, for everything that's.
That's so boring.
Oh,
No.
come on, Mister. I always say paladin. Come on.
It's funny
Yeah,
he
I
says
do play
paladin
paladins
though,
in
but he's a
D&D.
horde player. He says I love
Yeah.
it. Keep going.
But
It's actually
Yeah,
He's
but, like-
actually in alliance, but he
and-
doesn't want to admit it.
No. So Melderon's making funny right now, but he picks paladin when he plays D&D.
Because they're OP
Why?
in D&D, that's why I use it.
No, and why else? Why else? Because
Because I do like playing. Because lawful good is a pretty cool archetype to play sometimes. Sometimes. But it leaves no room for any kind of like.
What? And then
Because you
the
have to
thing
be
is,
good all
like,
the time.
No, you
know
don't.
what I mean?
Well, not as like so. Like I look at like say like a blood elf paladin, right? They're paladins, but they're also
No, did you
like,
see that last comment? Sorry, Paladin is a shaman that isn't from the third world.
That's great.
Oh,
Yeah, but
God,
look at
that's
like blood elf
horrible.
paladins, right? They're paladins, but they're also like they have a flair of like evil to them as well.
But in D&D world, that would never work. Paladin has to be
this is
lawful good.
Warcraft. This is World of Warcraft.
Yeah, that's true.
So for me, like, even though I'm not a huge fan of blood elves, I always felt more connected to like a blood elf paladin because they're still, but they're righteous. They're not righteous. They're kind of vengeful and they're kind of they use their power to get what they need and they're kind of like the knight that just
They are blood knights, right?
they're blood knights, right? They go out there and they just destroy shit and come home and everyone worships them and. Yeah, it's kind of like that, and I also love Shadow Priests. Like the idea of a priest that turns evil. I love the idea of that. You're kind of controlled by this insanity and you kind of like the void envelops you, and you become everything that you were taught not to be. I love that because I grew up Catholic, and I'm kind of
Catholic guilt.
Yeah, I have that Catholic guilt exactly.
Yeah.
So like, it's like you kind of feel that inside. You have that. You know, I always thought Shadow Priests were really interesting.
No,
and
so
I gotta say, Rogues.
You
really
always
cool
played
too.
healer though, right? You always played healer your whole WoW career.
No, my first character was a rogue.
Okay. But
My very first
what about
character
you,
was a rogue,
Melderon? Was it
and
healer?
then after that I went healer.
First character was warrior. Actually, I have way more experience tanking than healing, actually, to be honest. But in classic, I have more experience healing. But if you were talking about my entire WoW career, I'm a tank.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tyler Walker, I am a healer by far.
Healer. Wow,
Yeah.
the brother combo healer and tank.
That's
awesome.
right.
Yeah.
So
I'm
what
always
attracts
cursing
you-
them out. Stop
and
fucking charging after. Let me drink, you goddamn it.
Dunedain,
Yeah, I'm
you're a healer
notorious
too,
for-
right? Or no?
Me?
Sorry?
Yeah, Dunedain
Yeah.
is a healer.
Yeah, yeah, I played like 90% of the time I played a healer. Yeah.
Well, so
And
as someone who's that's the least role I've played for sure, but it's kind of growing on me. I kind of like, I healed a little bit. Like I had an alt, Resto Shaman during Wrath, and I did some healing for a few months there. But what do you like most about being a healer? Like, is there something that really appeals to you about it?
Yeah, if I don't play a healer, I really miss the support role. Well, basically you can tank, of course, but if you play like a rogue, you can only deal damage, and I get bored from that. I like buffing, I like healing, I like the defensive spells, Paladins bring, for example, Paladins, but other bring it as well. I think you have much more interesting stuff you can do. Also out in the world, you meet someone is just like walking past you, you buff people. I like those kind of things, which you cannot do with a DPS class.
Yep, you're a rogue and you're just kind of like, fuck you.
Yeah.
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 That's true.
So I want to. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Phil.
I was kind of thinking about getting back to BlizzCon because.
I just want to say one more thing about healing.
Right.
It's like, and also if you never tried a class or a style of play, like if you've always DPS'd, give yourself time to. It's like exploring a whole other aspect of the game that you never explored before. Like if you have always tanked or whatever, try healing once in a while. Try DPSing. Try tanking. It's really cool to explore a different aspect of a game that's been out for 14 years that you haven't explored yet.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Something that I haven't done enough of is tanking, and I want to do it more. And I would love, and I really think the idea of like a druid tank, even though they're not, some people say they're not the meta, I think they still have a lot to offer, and they're still great tanks. So that's something that I'm going to try to do in Classic is do that as well. But also with healing, I feel like Dunedain said, you're that support role. You're also the typing's kind of loud. Whoever's typing.
Yeah,
But,
sorry, it's mine.
I don't know. You're also like Phil likes to say, the rear admiral, right?
Yeah, I got a lot of crap for that in Countdown to Classic.
Yeah.
But no, I agree, Defcamp. I think that if you kind of put yourself into one role and kind of stick there, you're missing two-thirds of the game. And tanking is rewarding, DPS is rewarding, healing is rewarding, everything's rewarding in its own way, and I think experiencing that as much as you can. And yeah, Classic isn't a game for alts. However, we could be potentially having this forever, right? So you'll have enough time to really explore everything, I think.
Yeah.
Now, and also, just last thing before we move back to BlizzCon, Dunedain, which class resonates with you the most? Which one do you think is the coolest from a class fantasy perspective? Is it Paladin?
I like Paladin and Hunter. I never made a Hunter. I never even got one to max level, but it was the first class I ever made, a Hunter. I leveled it to like 12, and then a friend started, and I changed servers, and then I forgot about it. But I like the fancy of the Hunter, being in the wild, being in the nature. That's nice, and I like the defensive style of the Paladin support. I don't like tanking, but I like the defensive abilities they have and how they can save their allies. So those two, and Druid is close to Hunter. Yeah. So those three basically.
I think leveling Prot is so much fun as a Prot Paladin. Like pulling a massive pull and just sitting there and like I think it's
or no.
Well, there's so many cool. I don't know. I just love the style of like how they do damage, like slow amount of damage over time, and laying down consecrate. You go down into consecrate. I just love that style And it's not very efficient. It's not the fastest, but it's fun. Like you're not going to be beating a druid or a hunter to level 60 as a prop paladin, but there's a lot of drinking, but you can pull like massive mobs, and it's just I love the style of it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, higher survivability, and slow and steady wins the race.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what do you want to talk about, Melderon?
So there's 2 big announcements that came out of BlizzCon. In addition to Classic WoW, big for us at least. The Overwatch stuff, Hearthstone, aren't really into. But as far as we got, one was a debacle, and one was actually pretty awesome. I think we start with the good one first, and then go into the bad one. But Warcraft 3 Reforged. I think there's a lot of. This is really cool. I think it's great. What do you guys think about it? What do you think about it?
Pre-ordered mine already. Pre-ordered that. Easy clap. Saw it as soon as I saw it. Pre-ordered it. I've been playing Warcraft 3. I love Warcraft 3. That's how I got introduced to Warcraft in general. Freaking love Warcraft 3 so much, dude. Like even when Dota first came out, dude, playing like the first Dota with my boys. I still remember that like clear as day. Playing Dota together. All the different custom games in Warcraft 3. The campaign. Absolutely love that game. Super hyped for Warcraft 3.
Same here.
So
Yeah. I like RTS games. It's what got me into gaming. But I rather play the Age of series. So I'm happy they reforged it. And I think they said you can use the old game as well on the same servers, right?
I think so. They're giving you copies of the old games, I think.
Oh, right.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, okay. So that's a good thing. So I will definitely try it out and play it again. But if Age of Empires 4, for example, would be launched at the same time, I would probably play Age of Empires.
So I like to actually poll the audience because Dunedain and I talked about this a little bit before the podcast started, and you and I have very different experiences in Warcraft 3. So I am a single-player guy in RTSs. I'm really bad at time management when it comes to RTSs, and I love the story of RTSs. And you are more of a competitive player that want to, play PvP online and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So maybe we can talk about that for a second. Also, as the audience, what do you guys like about RTSs? Is it the story or is it the competitive nature of the play?
Yeah.
So
I literally never ever played a single player in Warcraft 3, so I missed out on the story. But I really feel like I'm wasting time whenever I play any single player game. So I like the community feel. I like being online. If I play against a human being, that doesn't feel like wasting time. And if I play against the PC, it's.
I think you come full. I came full circle on that though, man. Like, for many years, I only played esports. Like, I literally only played CS:GO, Dota 2, whatever it was. I only played esports. But you kind of like gained a little low-key appreciation for the lore and single player. And at least for me, I came full circle and I like single player games now. I don't know.
Yeah. So there's Emil said, when I was little, I would sit and make custom maps all the time. Warcraft 3, loved making my own stuff. I did the same thing in StarCraft. I used to spend hours doing that.
And I used to sit there and watch him do it because I was never allowed to play.
That's funny.
Yeah, brother dynamic. That's always fun. So the other thing that so is there anything else about Warcraft 3 you wanted to cover?
No, but I did chat someone saying doesn't like wasting time but plays video games. If I play online, if I play against another player, I feel like I'm getting better, and thus I'm not wasting time. And if I play against PC, I don't feel that. I know basically there's no difference, but for me personally, and I know many of my friends think the same way, if you don't play against another player, you're not getting better, and I'd rather see a movie or something like that, which is also wasting my time basically. But it's fun, so
I don't think anything is really a waste of time if you can engage yourself.
Fun, as long as you're having fun, nothing is a waste of time.
Yeah, I try not to waste any time during the day. So any time I have, I watch a documentary I haven't seen yet, or I go outside and have a cigar, or I try to
that's all I do. Then if that's what wasting time is.
Well, I mean, I think if you engage yourself in some way, that's just I mean, unless you're literally sitting down and just like staring at a wall, which I guess people like doing that too. But
Phil likes to engage himself. Yeah.
One thing I'll say is Warcraft 3, dude. I played the campaign recently on stream. it holds up so well, dude. Like more so than Diablo 2. I know it came out probably way after. I'm not exactly sure the exact dates, but Warcraft 3 still holds up right now super well, guys. And we got
absolutely. Graphics too. I think the graphics are great. Even though they're reforging it, like I'm really excited for that. And what's funny is like Warcraft 3 is the type of game that I'm okay with them reforging, but like WoW isn't. And I think that's because the world in Warcraft is like the biggest character that you interact with, right? Because the world is a character like in WoW, and it's a different point of view that you're playing from when you're playing an RTS. It's more of like you're the commander, you're moving pieces around, whatever. But when you're in the world in Warcraft, the world is what you're interacting in, and that's why it's so important, I think, to keep
I think it's also because
the way
we don't have the old game anymore, and we still have Warcraft 3. So.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah,
that's the point that I was just going to make. It's about emulation. Yeah, it's the fact that you can still go back and play. Yeah, that's why. Maybe someday if Classic WoW is available forever, and then they reforge it later.
Right.
There's two versions that are available. That's fine.
And also for me, like the immersion that I get from it, like I need to feel immersed in that world, but also is the when I play the newer versions of WoW, I associate those newer graphics with how the game is now, with how it's more of a solo player game. How I don't know. So if I were to see those brand new graphics in Classic, that association would come to it as well. I feel like, you know what I mean. So I got to keep them disassociated in a way.
Yeah,
it's just my personal thoughts,
So I'm a huge fan of the Diablo franchise, and Diablo 1, let me tell you a story. So the first time I ever played Diablo 1, I went to my friend's house when I was younger, and I played that game all night.
And you shit yourself.
And I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
Okay? Like the sound of babies crying in the background, and like all this crazy, these like goat men coming out of the darkness, all this stuff, and I was like, oh my god.
That was Diablo 1, right?
That's Diablo 1, dude.
Yeah. What year is this? Let me see, dude. Diablo 2 came out in 2000. Diablo 1 came out.
I think it's even earlier.
97, I think.
97. You're on point. Yeah, dude.
97. So I was 14 years old. Okay. So I was literally shitting myself when that game came out. Okay. And then Diablo 2 came out, and I was like, this is one of the best games ever made. Diablo 3 was a little bit of a letdown. I'll have to be honest with that, because it was more about
especially at first.
Yeah. But man, like I don't know. I mean, like and everyone's gonna say you're gonna make Diablo 4. I understand they're gonna make Diablo 4, guys. I do get that. But don't you think it was a little chintzy to come up with this Diablo Immortal? I mean, come on.
Don't you have a phone? Don't you have a phone?
Yeah, oh wait, hell, I have a phone. Yeah, don't you guys have phones?
Don't you guys have phones?
Yeah, I just don't want to play a game like this.
Well, the thing is just crazy. Yo, one thing. Do you think they made up that Diablo 4 is coming out after damage control? I don't know, man. I feel like if it really was coming out,
all right, guys, we got to get this Diablo 4 thing rolling now.
Wasn't it like a leak or something that Diablo 4 was supposed to be that they were planning on?
Yeah, that was the announcement. Everyone was saying, "Oh, it's Diablo 4."
And then conveniently after the Diablo Immortal disaster, they kind of they're like, "Oh, I had an interview with Blizzard a few weeks ago, and they were saying Diablo 4 is coming out." To me, that was a little sketch right there. The thing that pisses me off most about Diablo Immortal is not even the mobile aspect of it that much, because I'll still probably play it. I'll still probably download it and play it. But the main thing is that it was a ripoff, right? It was literally
it's all. And you know what? It's all about China. China, because they're the #1 player of MOBAs.
They had a game, right? The NetEase company had a game, and people were doing all these comparisons with it, and that shit looked identical.
It looked exactly like it, dude.
That to me was kind of. I've never seen Blizzard stoop there, dude. That was very strange to me.
Yeah,
it's all about the dough.
I think the main thing is you imagine you go to BlizzCon as a Diablo fan, and you pay a lot of money for that, and that's all you get. I really don't have anything with Diablo, so personally I couldn't care less, but those fans who went there for Diablo, I think we cannot do anything else than I don't know the word. Give our support to them.
Oh yeah.
Just support them basically. Yeah.
So, imagine they do that with World of Warcraft, like you buy a virtual ticket or whatever, and all they say is, well, we will bring a mobile app.
Yeah, I feel I much would have rather had Diablo 2 remastered, dude. Especially because I'm playing through Diablo 2 right now, like actively. I'm on Act 3 right now, and that game could use a fresh coat of paint. Let me tell you, it's okay. Like it's playable. Yeah. It's playable. I enjoy it.
It's history.
I enjoy it. It's history. But I think with a fresh coat of paint, man, it would just be really relevant again. And I'm still really enjoying it. I really am enjoying it. But the fact that I can't blow it up to the right resolution, I kind of have to like shift it over a little bit and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If they could just update it a little bit, that might be.
I think they will. I think they kind of have to. Diablo 2 is one of the most important games of all time.
Yeah,
and I think
it is.
They don't,
classic. Yeah.
If they don't do that, that's a disservice to the game.
That's the thing. It's like Blizzard's at the point now where they're just remastering and re-putting out old games. What does that say about the company? Yeah.
Just like the movie industry. It's the same thing.
It's true, dude. That's so
it's
true.
Just like the movie industry. It's like, oh, let's just put a fresh coat of paint or get new actors to play this, and then it's like, why can't you guys come up with something new? Because you know why? Because talent, anything that has to do with movie production, everyone wants a safe bet, right? They want a Marvel movie because it'll make $2 billion. Doesn't matter what happens in the movie. Some dude blows up some other guy, and then they put the Marvel logo, and it makes $2 billion.
You gotta take risks.
That's movie industry now.
You gotta take risks.
It's all
about taking risks.
That's why music sucks. That's why movies suck, because no one wants to take risks.
What is going on with the games industry right now? So Sony pulled out of EA, dude, and EA shit in the bed, and Blizzard shit in the bed. Like, what is going on?
I'm interested in Pantheon, actually. I'm interested to see what that game's gonna be like. I think it has the potential to be a good MMO. I really do. Alex was in here a little bit ago saying that they're not going to have any add-ons for that game. It's going to be interesting. I think that could be a game that could kind of change things. But we said this about how many different MMOs now. It's going to be the WoW killer or this and that.
That's true.
And I even heard them talking about, and I don't think it's the end of retail WoW either, because they were talking about future expansions and what they're going to do in the future. I mean, they could just be saying that shit out of their ass, but I think they do plan on making at least another expansion.
I don't know how well funded they are. That's the thing. I just think Warcraft is too strong, Like the IP is too strong. Blizzard has so much money. Like, I don't know. Is it like a it's like a medieval game? Pantheon? Is that the style of it?
It's an MMO, and it's basically you'd have to do your more research. I don't want to give out any.
But it looks medieval colors, yes.
Yeah, it looks medieval.
Like swords and
very fantasy though. It's not, it's very fantasy based. There's like there's but the gnomes look a lot different. It's basically going to be based off of outdoor instances. From what I know, there's no real like inside instances. It's going to be a lot like EverQuest in a way, in that terminology. So it's going to be. It looks very interesting. If you want to look it up, I think it could be a very good game. But myself, like, I'm always looking for that new game that's going to give me the same feeling that WoW gave me right back in the day. Like, when I first played WoW, it's like that high that you always chase for me. It's like, oh man, I got that feeling, and and with retail, I never, got there again. And I'm always looking at like.
What was the last game that gave you a little bit of that taste? Is what I'm curious. What was the last game that gave you just a little dose of that WoW heroine feel? Like
Skyrim.
Shit.
Was it?
Skyrim for me.
For me, it was Guild Wars 2 until I played it.
Until you played it? So you were hyped for it, and then it
just didn't. And that's why I'm a little bit skeptical on every new MMO.
So what's the game before, other than Guild Wars, then, that actually gave you that sense of awe, for the game, the actual gameplay?
Probably WoW, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Just WoW, huh?
See, for me,
there's nothing like
Skyrim is, that's what I say, it's different. Like, it gave me a feeling, but it didn't give me that wow.
Well, the thing with Skyrim is you do this amazing stuff, but then you can't share it with anyone, right?
Yeah.
And that's what kind of... Skyrim's in a beautiful game. It's a little overrated in some aspects. I'll probably get hate for that. But it's a very, very good game. But the problem is, at the end of the day, who are you doing it all for? You're doing it for yourself. There's no one you can share with. There's no one you can talk to.
Right.
There's no one, so that's why Skyrim gets close to there. And of course, they made ESO. I haven't ever played it, but I don't know how good it is. But the Skyrim universe is vast. It's very cool. A lot of cool lore. If you ever want to get involved in a lore, get involved in the Elder Scrolls lore. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
what about you, Def? What was the one that the last game before WoW? That
I don't think there has been, honestly. Like, I've been feeling
15 years. There's been no game that's done it for you.
I mean, I got it in BC. I got it a little bit in Wrath, but I really feel like I've been, and ever since Kata, since Mist, since Warlord, since Legion, and I didn't really play in BFA. only reason why I played is to try to recapture that initial feeling that I never could recapture. You know, I did the Mythic Raid scene for a while. I thought that was fun. But, you know, when it came to it, I just didn't feel as invested in my character. I didn't feel as rewarded with my character. And I didn't feel that wow feeling that I used to get. And that probably ended for me in Wrath of the Lich King. Yeah.
Wow.
Ended for me in Wrath.
For me, I'll say the game that gave me a little taste of it, I have to say, was The Witcher 3. I played it way later than most people. I don't know if y'all ever played The Witcher 3.
Still haven't played it.
It's actually really fun.
I am about to download it, actually, because I was going to do a playthrough. Thinking about streaming it while I played on it. But I actually really want to play it because I've heard amazing good things about it. And so, yeah, maybe
it's
who knows?
Really
maybe
good, dude. The Witcher 3, if you guys in chat, anybody play The Witcher 3 in chat?
Kargoz, he was like, it's really good, dude.
It's really good, dude. The Witcher 3,
It's really good.
the voice acting was on point. Like, the world was so pretty. Like, I didn't even play it on PC. I played it on console, like a pleb. I played it on the Xbox, but I did play it on a nice TV, and it actually drew me in, man. Like, the dialogue was on point. It was like AAA dialogue, and the world, and I never even read any of the books or anything like that, but that game really pulled me in, man.
You sold me, dude. I'm gonna download it tonight, I think.
I got another game real quick before we get into anything else. Has anyone in chat played Castlevania Symphony of the Night?
Oh yeah, baby.
That game, Kargoz, go download an emulator and play that game. That game.
Let me write it down.
Well, now we're talking about games. We might as well talk about Zelda and you know. And
okay, but everyone talks about Zelda. I feel like no one gives Castlevania Symphony of the Night any love. I always feel like no one talks about it as much as Zelda. That's just my personal opinion. So it's a side-scrolling Castlevania game, which all Castlevania games, well, not all of them, but they used to be all side-scrolling.
1997, though, dude. That's kind of old, right there. I don't know.
But it's got an RPG element. So you get gear, you get weapons, you get all this stuff. You have spells and abilities, and the gameplay is just I don't know. I think it was a wonderful game. But
I'll try it out, man.
The best game ever made was Crash Team Racing.
What is that?
Crash Bandicoot?
Crash Bandicoot, yeah.
Oh,
I never played it.
Urubuga.
Yeah, the racing game.
Oh yeah, dude. I like Super, not Super Smash Bros. The thing about the meme is Super Smash Bro. Super Mario Kart. Mario 64. Mario 64.
Crash Team Racing, in my opinion, was the better version of Mario Kart. So yeah, I still play it. It's the best.
Vape Nation, yeah.
No, seriously, people in the chat are agreeing with you, dude. Holy shit, CTR.
Dude, Symphony of the Night was a great game, but I gotta also give props to, I mean, PS2. I was like, did everyone play Shadow of the Colossus?
No, I never played it.
Oh,
nope.
I heard of it though. I heard of it. I know what the cover looks like.
Great game. Great game. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, we gotta close in a few minutes, guys. But I just want to end by saying there's something that we want to talk about. Kind of. Do you guys feel that there's a lot of knowledge about Classic WoW? There's a lot of knowledge that's still being produced about Classic WoW. This is a multi-leveled question, but do you think that this knowledge we're gaining, do you think it kills the experience? Do you think people actually research as much as we think they do, or do you think people will actually want to make their own paths in WoW, even though they may know the meta says this?
I think it's good to have the knowledge because knowledge is power, right? But I also think it's good to, no matter what someone says, no matter what you hear, experience it for yourself and make your own decision. You know, we could sit here and make videos and guides about every little part of WoW, but if you watch that and don't base your experiences based on what somebody else is telling you, have your own experience. Even if someone tells you that, you know, you're not going to get in a raid if you play Enhancement Shaman or if you play Ballad Druid, and if that's what you want to do and you want to experience it for yourself, make your own decision. But you can use this as a guide and use it as something to, you know, give you some information by it, but you don't have to live your life by it. Just use what you can and make your own
I would have a lot of parallels to real life, dude. So imagine in real life we're learning more about, you know, biology and chemistry and all this type of stuff. Are we going to get to a point where we know, you know, so much about how things work? Is that going to affect your happiness in life. But for me, so the WoW analogy is like, once I had that PTR, dude, and I got to, once you log into a PTR, you have your own little sandbox environment, and you have the keys to the castle, you have the keys to the Lamborghini, you could literally, fly around. I thought, like, is this going to mess with my enjoyment of WoW once I have to go back and level regularly? I thought it would, but it didn't. There's a sort of suspension of reality when you log into your character.
Yeah.
For me, it's like I'm watching a movie or something. I can actually suspend reality a little bit, and I can still I can still be that little 12-year-old kid inside and jump into the character and really enjoy it, which was surprising to me. I thought maybe it would ruin it for me a little bit, but it hasn't so far.
It's almost like this: a doctor tells you shouldn't eat certain foods, right? But we all freaking do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, I love theory crafting. I love making guides, but do I follow my own advice sometimes? Hell no. I'm like, I want to do it this way. You know what I mean? Like, this
not
is
only
the way
that, dude, but there's still so much to. I feel like every day I learn something new with WoW. Like, I feel like there's so much out there to explore and to talk about that we could talk about it nonstop and still have something else. Because when it comes down to it, every person's experience is going to be different no matter what, because of your life experience, because of what you did today, because of what you saw, a movie you saw when you played in this zone reminded you of that. Your experience is going to be different. Right, everyone's experience is different, but like I feel, even with the little things when we talk about your new threat and tank guide that came out, like we're talking about little things here and there, talking about experiences that I had. There's still so much to know and to talk about that I feel like even if we talked about so much of what we did, you can still have your own experience and make your own assumptions of what you have experienced. You know what I mean? I don't think that it takes away from it, because when it comes down to it, this game is 14 years old, right? And my experience will never be that experience that I had 14 years ago. I can try to emulate it. I could try to make, but it's never going to be the same. It's never. I've experienced things in my own life that have changed me.
But okay, so let me ask you that: would you, if you could, would you be like 12 years old again? Like, so you experienced the world in a different way when you were 12. I probably wouldn't. You know what I mean? Like, even if maybe it was a little more awe-inspiring or whatever. But would I go back to being 12 years old?
There's times that I like. There's times that I want to, but there's other times I'm like, fuck that. I don't want to ever go back to school or deal with, some of the cringe.
So are we talking about just mentally transporting to 12, or actually like the whole thing, whole kit and caboodle? Like you're 12 years old. Like what do you mean by that?
I guess I didn't really go that far with it. Let me think. Actually,
I don't know, because I don't know. I mean, I would probably want to correct a lot of
opinion.
stuff I did wrong.
Let's get Dunedain's opinion on the WoW thing and on the information.
Can you? I forgot the question. Can you?
Melderon, Melderon had the question.
It's basically, if you could be 12 again, would you go back and be 12 again and experience?
No. With the WoW question about.
Oh, do you think that we're overanalyzing this game? Basically, do you think everyone collectively is overanalyzing it, and do you think it matters?
I don't think it matters. Like most of you said already, I think people will play what they want to play, and some people will probably search for all the knowledge that's out there, and they will use it, and that's fine. But the majority will not use it, and the majority will just play the game, maybe even for the first time, and they will find things out by themselves. So I think the minority is really going to know all that stuff we know now, and I don't think it will have a huge impact on the game.
Good point, because a lot of the people that are going to be playing Classic have probably never played it before.
Yeah.
What do you think the percent's going to be? Chat, what do you think the percent of people are going to be like noobs versus private server people? I think
the private server community is going to be a small community inside the Classic WoW community.
Yeah, I think so too.
Maybe like 10-15%.
That's even more than I thought, man. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe.
I'm thinking 15 to 20%.
15, 20? 50-50 Hedgehog? 50? Damn.
We got to remember how many people played Vanilla or played BC and Wrath and then stopped playing, and then
are we lumping veterans into private server group?
Yeah, because you got to think about
people who have like never played a private server, only played vanilla, they're retail, they're coming back into the game. They're effectively super noobs, right? Like, how could they not be noobs coming back in the game? Are they really that like genius? They just remember everything? I don't know. I'm just trying to think. Maybe, I don't know. I would guess like.
I'm telling you, there's more people that stop playing WoW that play WoW right now, right? Because you think about it, like their numbers are like people are saying like 1.5 million, that whatever, they're not out there, but at the peak we've had 12 million. But you got to think, during BC you had 1 million join and 1 million stop, another 1 million join, another 1 million, and then, like all those people. I'm not saying all of them are going to come back to play Classic, but a good amount of them are going to come back and play it and experience it again because it's the game they love, the game they fell in love with. And I think that is going to be the majority of the game. Is going to be people that played WoW and came back to it, as well as people who never got to play Classic. A lot of people who, there's a lot of people out there who started playing WoW and Kata who never got to see the old world and just want to see the old world. They want to see what it's all about. And also, they might not even like the game now. They might think retail shit compared to what Mr. Pandera, was for them. So they might be looking forward to this to see, what is this all about? What is the world, the old world, this and that? I think there's going to be a lot of people playing this game. I think it's going to be more popular than WoW is now, than retail WoW is now. I think at one point, Classic WoW will be the main game for WoW. I think that it will have more players than retail, and I think that can be a good thing and that can be a bad thing, because we know where that went before. We know that Blizzard started listening to small groups and started making changes based on those small groups. I hope they don't do that again. I hope Blizzard learned from their mistakes, but we got to remember we're talking about Blizzard here, so we'll see what happens.
Man, how crazy is that going to be? It's going to be shocking to me, dude. If Classic passes retail, it's going to be surreal to me. I think
it's going to happen.
I'll be living in the Twilight Zone. What do you guys think? It's going to feel like we're in the freaking Twilight Zone when, like, retail WoW is people consider Classic WoW retail WoW.
Yeah,
dude, it is going to be living in the Twilight Zone. Yeah, it's going to be very strange. But, I think we just got to
make expansions anymore, dude? You think they would even make expansions?
It's a tough one.
You mean expansions like lateral, like horizontal expansions in Classic WoW, or do you mean
BFA, like for the BFA section?
I heard them talking about making another. Who knows?
I think they will make at least one. I think they are working on it right now. So,
OSR.
Yeah. After that, they will probably just look at the numbers.
Yeah. Well, guys, we got to actually call it a day.
That was fun, though, guys. This is our first Good Morning Azeroth, so we're planning on to do these, like once a week, right, guys?
I'm down.
Yeah.
Whatever you guys want. Whoever out in the world, we're your humble servants.
If time permits, we could do once a week.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it's always fun, yo. Thank you, guys. This is our first, our first one, so thanks for being here with us. Sorry if we're a little rough. We're getting used to it, but, yeah, guys, so... I'll be probably streaming later on today, and we're going to call it here. Thanks again, everybody, for your time. And that's going to be it for this one. See you next time, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Peace.
Peace.